I learned Portuguese in just 30 days. No, of course, I don't speak like a native speaker, but after 1 month, I was already able to have long conversations, understand podcasts, and even read books in Portuguese. And today I'm going to show you exactly how I did it, step by step. This was my language learning routine during those 30 days. First, I did 30 minutes per day of listening while reading, and then listening and repeating with the same content. I use the HTML books for this. It's a book that has around 100 short stories to learn all the basic grammar and vocabulary. The goal here was to understand grammar, grow my vocabulary, and get the pronunciation right from day one. On top of that, I listened to Portuguese for 2 or 3 hours a day while doing other things like driving, cooking, going for walks, working out, etc. I simply created a playlist with the listening materials of the same book, and I listened to those short stories over and over again, plus a few original podcasts in Portuguese. Also, 3 or 4 times a week, I practice conversation with a tutor on Italki for 30 minutes. And finally, in the evening, I read a little bit in Portuguese. Reading is already a part of my nighttime routine, so switching to Portuguese wasn't that difficult. Portuguese vocabulary and grammar are very similar to Spanish, so I could understand quite a lot from day one. But I only recommend doing this if you can already understand quite a lot of the text without too much effort. The idea is to absorb grammar and vocabulary naturally, not to overload your brain before you go to sleep. You need rest as well. And that's it. That's how I learned Portuguese for the first time. I did this a few years ago, and it worked. But if I had to learn it again, I wouldn't do it exactly the same way. See, back then, I wasn't using the concept of language islands. At least not too much. And if I had to learn Portuguese today, I would start by focusing on those islands. Instead of learning with mini stories or anything like that, I would focus on learning the sentences I really want to be able to say. Because those are the most important phrases you'll need to learn. They're your phrases. They're exactly the things you want to be able to say in all kinds of situations and on any topic. That's the fastest way to improve your speaking. I also wouldn't do as many italki sessions with a tutor because until you reach a basic level of fluency, just trying to have conversations isn't the most effective way to practice speaking. If you don't know enough words and phrases, you're simply not able to say much. So you don't actually get much practice when you're supposed to be practicing your speaking. Plus, conversations with a tutor are often repetitive, and you don't always learn anything new, just a few words here and there. If your goal is to learn to speak as fast as possible, listening to and repeating your own sentences over and over again is a much better use of your time than talking to a tutor. So if I were you, I would only use conversations with a tutor only as a reward, to test the phrases you've already learned by repeating your language island sentences. It will be more efficient and also more enjoyable this way. The rest of it I will do more or less the same way. I still read a lot, I listen a lot, and of course I repeat phrases aloud a lot, even more than before. So how can you use all of this? Well, feel free to copy my routine with Portuguese or any other language. It will always work, and if you're consistent, you'll see results faster than you think. If Portuguese feels difficult because you don't speak Spanish yet, or if you're learning more complex languages, you can always use mnemonic associations to quickly memorize the 1,000 most common words in the language to understand more or less 80%, and that will allow you to do input much more efficiently. You should read, listen to, and repeat your language island phrases again and again and again until you understand every single word and you can recite each sentence by heart. After that, you can simply have fun. Watch shows, listen to podcasts by native speakers, read books in the language, have conversations in the real world. But all of that will come much sooner if you focus on your language islands first. If you want to try this method, you can take my 7-day challenge and learn your first 150 conversation sentences in a week. This alone won't make you fluent, but it's a start.